Hi everybody, welcome back. And if you remember last time, we start the topic of the mole. And as a definition, the mole is the amount of substance that enters or exits from the reaction. And we start to define the mole in terms of grams. And we call it molar mass. Molar mass was the mass of substance that exists in 1 mole of that substance. Today, we will define the mole in terms of number. How many particles the mole contain. Particles can be atoms, can be molecules, can be ions. Okay, so 1 mole of atoms contain a specific number of atoms. 1 mole of molecule contains a specific number of that molecule. 1 mole of ions contains a specific number of that ion. If we say 1 mole of magnesium atom, of magnesium element, okay? This 1 mole of magnesium element has a specific number of magnesium atoms, okay? If we say 1 mole of H2 or 1 mole of NaCl, okay? Molecule or compound. So 1 mole of any molecule or compound contains a specific number of that molecule or compound. If we say for the ion, sodium cation, sodium positive ion, chloride ion. So 1 mole of chloride ion will equal to a specific number of chloride ions. How many ions? How many particles of ions in that mole? So anyway, so the number of particles. These particles can be an atom, molecules, compounds, or ions. 1 mole of any particle, if any kind of particles, contains a specific number of ions. Sorry, a specific number of these particles, and this number is a constant number called Avogadro's number. So, 1 mole of any particle contains Avogadro's number of that particle. This Avogadro's number is a constant number and it equals to 6.02 times 10 to the power 23. A huge number. Okay, so Avogadro number is the number of all atoms, molecules, or ions that exist in a specific 1 mole of substance. Avogadro's number is the number of atoms, molecules, formula unit, or ions which are found in 1 mole of a substance. Okay, and it is a constant which equals to 6.02 times 10 to the power 23 unit, whatever the unit is. If 1 mole of atom of an element, so will equal to this number of atoms. if 1 mole of molecule, so will equal to this number of that molecule. So the number of atoms of molecules, ions, formula units equals the number of mole of that atom or molecule or ions or formula unit respectively times 6.02 times 10 to the power 23. In other words, we can say that the mole is the amount of matter that contains Avogadro's number. So every 1 mole contains Avogadro's number of units. This unit can be atoms, molecules, formula units, or ions. So to calculate the mole in terms of Avogadro's number, so 1 mole equals Avogadro's number. 2 moles equals 2 multiplied by Avogadro's number. 5 moles equal 5 multiplied by Avogadro's number. 17 mole, whatever moles equal to this number of moles multiplied by Avogadro's number. X moles equal this X multiplied by Avogadro's number. So any mole, 1 mole contain this number of units. So 1 mole of nitrogen equal to Avogadro's number, this number of nitrogen atoms. Okay. 1 mole of sodium chloride equals to this number of sodium chloride. Okay. This is the Avogadro's number. So we can express the number of moles, the moles in terms of Avogadro's number or in terms of mass or molar mass. If you remember last time we used the triangle, so we can get the equation to get the mole from the mass or the mass from the number of moles. And if you remember, we add here the mole, number of moles. And we add here our mass. And at the top was the mass. And from here we were able to calculate the mass from the moles or the moles from the mass. Okay. Same here. The number of moles and Avogadro's number can be also explained in the triangle, so we can easily get the equation to calculate the missing of them. So if the missing is the number of units, if the missing is the number of mole, so we'll use the same. As usual, here we will add the mole. The mole. Here you will add the units, the number of units. And here we'll add the Avogadro's number. So if we want to calculate the number of units, if we want to calculate the number of units, so the number of units will be the moles, number of moles, times Avogadro's number. If we want to calculate how many moles, the number of moles, so we will divide the number of units by Avogadro's number. For example, if you have 2.3 moles of magnesium chloride, and you need to calculate how many units in this number of moles. How can we get it? So the number of units, this will equal to the number of moles times Avogadro's number. So the number of units equal to number of moles, which is 2.3, times Avogadro's number, which is 6.02 times 10 to the power 23. Okay, and now by calculation we can get the number of units. Okay, other example. If we want to calculate the number of moles that exist in twelve times 10 to the power maybe 24 of chlorine element. Okay, so we have number of atoms. We need to know how many moles in this number. So we can simply draw the triangle that will help us to figure out the equation required to calculate that. So usually put here the moles, number of moles. And here the known number, which is Avogadro's number. And here the number of units. So what we have in our problem is the number of units. How many atoms? So we have this number of units and we need to calculate the mole. How we calculate the mole? The mole will equal to these units over Avogadro's number divided by Avogadro's number. So equals, because here we need how many moles that have this number of atoms. So the mole will equal to the number of units that we have, which is 12 times 10 to the power 24, okay? Number of units divided by Avogadro's number, which is 6.02 times 10 to the power of 23. And when we calculate that, we will get how many moles? We will get how many moles, which approximately will be 20 moles. So these are example. Number of molecules of calcium oxide that produced by heating 25 gram of calcium carbonate. These problems are tricky. These problems are tricky because it has like indirect conversion. Indirect conversion. I will give you the idea, okay? I try to solve it, or I will solve the first one with you and you can solve the other one. So we have 25 grams of calcium oxide, okay? And from these 25 grams of calcium oxide, we need to know how many, to know how many particles of, how many molecules of, of calcium oxide exist in these grams. So we need to know the number of units. Calculate the units. Once we know that we need to calculate number, okay, it means that we will use Avogadro's number. We will need to calculate moles in terms of Avogadro's number. So to remember, how can we calculate? We can just draw the triangle, our triangle. Okay, which we divided into 3, if you remember. And here we will write the moles. Beside the moles, the Avogadro's number. At the top is the number of units. What we need to know now is the number of units. Okay, how can we get the number of units? We need to know how many calcium oxides in these grams. How can we know the number of units from this triangle? So units will equal to moles times Avogadro's number. It's equal number of moles times Avogadro's. Okay, so what we have now, Avogadro's number is known. So we know Avogadro's number, but for us now, the moles are unknown. We don't have the mole, we have the mass. Okay, we have a mass. Then we have to calculate the moles in terms of mass to get the unit, because the unit is unknown. We need to calculate the unit. So the mass is also unknown, so we have two unknowns. But we have a bit of information from which we can get the moles. We can use the same triangle. The mole is equal to the mass divided by the molar mass. Okay, so we can use this to calculate that. So units equal to the mass divided by the molar mass. The mass is 25. Okay, divided by the molar mass. The molar mass is the same number of the atomic mass of the atom. So calcium is 40. So the molar mass would be 40 grams. Okay. The result is multiplied by the Avogadro's number. And Avogadro's is a constant equal to 6.02 times 10 to the power 23. Okay, so after calculation, the result will be the number of units of calcium oxide. Okay, that's all for today. I just want you to answer the other questions. Try to take a screenshot of the questions and try to answer them the same way. And that's all for today. Thank you guys and see you next video. If you have any question, don't hesitate to leave it in the comments down below and write the answer in the comments down below. Bye bye.